Mitch has been bullied in
Mitch?
plain sight.
No!
Cobra Kai.
Kidding.
Well, first off, thank you all for coming on. I really appreciate it. And I just want to wish you congratulations on the success of Cobra Kai season 5. It was absolutely incredible. When you're making the show, I'm sure like as fans, you guys, have certain ideas of how like the fans will respond to certain things. But was there anything in terms of like the actual fan reception that surprised you or maybe shocked you about how fans responded?
I would say that we're just thrilled people loved it as much as they did. We loved making it, but this was the hardest, and I don't know if it was the hardest season. It was the weirdest season for us to make because we had finished making season 4 and Netflix came to us and had us rush back into another writer's room and rush back onto set. So we made 2 seasons of the show in 1 calendar year, which is a huge undertaking. And as you saw probably from the credits, we didn't have, directing credits and writing credits on a lot of stuff. That doesn't mean we weren't directing, and it doesn't mean we weren't writing. It just means that we had so much to do to make sure that the story was going to be what it was going to be, and that we could get the scripts done in time, overseeing the entire group, that it was just a hustle the entire way through. And it was just such a blur. And we were making decisions quickly and on the fly. And we were loving the decisions we were making. And we were thinking that the audience would hopefully respond and love everything we were doing as much as we did. But it was such a blur that we had no time to really like think and digest it all. So suddenly then we rushed right into making or writing Obliterated in the wake while we were posting Cobra Kai, and just didn't have the time that we sometimes have in the past to sit with it and watch it a bunch and just sort of live in it and know what, and usually we have a good beat on what to expect from the fans. And this time it was just sort of like, it's coming out. We can't believe it's coming out so quickly. And we're like, we think it's really good. We liked it, but we're so busy with this other stuff right now that we don't like, I hope that it was really just the excitement of like, okay, it landed in the way that we thought it did. But it was such a blur.
Yeah. Hayden, you looked like you wanted to say something.
No, exactly what Jon said. It was just a blur. It's like you're making food in the kitchen so fast, and this one, like, you didn't really get a chance to taste it, but you hoped it was good, and I feel like, but I did, I'll say this, while we're making Obliterated, I was watching a little of season 5 and the Silver Chosen fight I've been like really into. So I was like, I knew at the very least people would love where it ends up. So I was just happy that it all worked out.
Definitely. So the Karate Kid, the movie, is heavily like inspired by like Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey. So I'm curious, like with Cobra Kai, like how much do you guys like think about the hero's journey and like those steps with the characters?
We don't think about it consciously, anymore. A lot of that just, we've written so much over the years that we feel it, versus, we need to be at this part of the hero's journey. But the thing about Cobra Kai that is different than the Karate Kid is that there's so many heroes, and we have kind of like 26 simultaneous hero's journey moments happening, and somebody could be on the rise, somebody could be on the fall, somebody could be hitting that, that tragic beat while an underdog is rising. So it's way more of an orchestra in terms of the, making space for different moments to pop. So when the camera moves, you really are with that person as the hero of their own story, versus you're with the character as only the antagonist to somebody else. And I think that's what we try to do. We try to be with Silver when we're with him and understand what makes him tick. Try to be with Chosen and Daniel when we're with them and, be on their side. And not to say that we want people, siding with Silver at the end of the day and saying he should destroy everything that Mr. Miyagi's legacy has established, but you want to understand what makes them tick beyond them just having a thirst for power and being a foil for your heroes. It's if you can somehow pull off having multiple heroes and different heroes are antagonists to other heroes. That's what we try to do.
Yeah. So you talked about like the ups and downs of the characters. So like, you know, like fans, when fans watch these characters, you know, they're like, you know, inspired by these characters, inspired by these stories. And Cobra Kai like isn't just a show for a lot of people, like including myself. It's like helped me like in my personal life. So I'm curious, like when you're writing the show, like do you think about like we're not just writing a story, but like the things that we're doing, the lessons that we're putting in are actually gonna like play a big part in like maybe saving someone's life or helping them like personally, like through the lessons?
Well, not to the point of saving somebody's life. You know, I'll say, you know, that's though something that as we've written the show over the course of seasons, I think recognized. You know, when we first were doing this, it was just out of the pure, you know, joy of telling a story and entertainment. And then, you know, you see things and I hear your stories and I see other people's stories. And I realize that the reason for that is because we're staying true to the Karate Kid, which itself is sort of a moral. It's stories with morals. We don't do that all the time. I don't know if Obliterated has, you know, the same type of morals that Cobra Kai has. It has the same type of characters, like character work, entertainment, and stuff like that. But Karate Kid, I think, specifically, has, you know, sort of you know, lessons, especially for youth, and in trying to capture the, you know, the vibe of that original. I think we just sort of naturally did that. But now I would say, you know, writing the show now, we do think about those things, and we think about what are the places, you know, the areas of life that we can explore with these characters. What are lessons that can be taught that can help you overcome challenges? So that was something that's I think we became more conscious of as we've written the show.
Definitely. So like one of the things like I love about Cobra Kai is just like this world as a whole, this universe. Like, and you guys have done such a great job at like creating all these different characters and all these locations. It's like it's just got its own world and there's so many different layers. So like, can you talk about like before you guys started filming this show, like the world building process where you like mapped out all the different locations, the reoccurring characters, like character motivations, like all of the pre stuff that went into making this, expanding the Karate Kid universe that we know?
You know, it started small, but we knew we were going big. And it's interesting, like when we look at our entire careers and what inspired us in our youth, I'll look at like a show like The Simpsons, you know, that, you know, when we were kids, The Simpsons came out and you first loved, you know, Homer and Bart and Marge and the core family. But as you watch the show more and more seasons, you'd fall in love with all the side characters and you get invested in their journeys and that kind of thing. And it's very different than Cobra Kai, but it is sort of like the kind of fans that we were of television, of movies. We loved movie franchises that got bigger and bigger. So as we were approaching this, you know, we started off with a certain number of students. You look at season one, the senseis and the students that we had there, but we knew we were building dojos from there. And we didn't want it to just be a, you know, these core characters that only have those stories. We had varied stories to tell. So as you're filling up the dojo, it becomes bigger. As you're filling up the lives of our core characters and what's going on in them, you know, in the real world, you don't just deal with the same people over and over again, like on a sitcom in the 80s. You know, it's about exploring life and the different paths that life takes you on. And it's so the world building comes naturally through going through the journeys of these characters and the stories that we're telling. And it's our favorite thing. We always say this, and it's not just on Cobra Kai and everything we've ever done. We care about the minor characters. You care about the person who comes into a scene for one or two lines, and you try to give them something memorable, something that is additive and not just serving the story, but there's some point of view for this character, because you never know, you might fall in love with that character and then want to see them again. And it is fun when we take a step back and we look at, you know, the Karate Kid movies and we see sort of, you know, it was Mr. Miyagi's backyard. And that was sort of where karate was taught. And then he'd take them on field trips and that kind of thing. And now it's like, you know, we had, you know, Johnny's Cobra Kai and then Silver's Cobra Kai. And the Eagle Fang, Eagle Fang's, crazy industrial warehouse, and all these different spots that are the different dojos in the town, and the different characters and the different senseis, and bringing in Kim Dayoon and her group, the Fist, as we call them privately, and never mentioned on the show. But with this season, it was especially fun as we were thinking ahead towards this international tournament, which was something that early on we knew that we would eventually want to get to. It's been fun taking the Karate Kid universe and blowing it out, blowing it out the way that a Star Wars does, or other big franchises do. That there's all these different tentacles that if you shine a light on or put the camera in this direction or that direction, there's story to tell everywhere you look.
I love that. So as you guys know, I like to do my parodies, my recreations, and my different skits. So I'm curious. I want to hear it from the big three themselves. You guys have any ideas or suggestions for things maybe you'd want to see me do?
Oh, I don't know.
I know I'm putting you on the spot. I'm curious if there's just something like, oh, that'd be cool.
How about the Japanese tea ceremony from Karate Kid 2?
But I will say, I think season 5 has a lot of fun, scenes that you could recreate. And when you bring the Fist and Kim Dayoon into it, it's like there are you can play around, I think, with those characters. I was watching the original Karate Kid when Miyagi's in there in the dojo. And he first brings up the tournament and says, they have the challenge and they set it up 4 weeks from now. And as Miyagi and Daniel walk out and they look back, you just see Kreese and all the Cobra Kai's there just kind of standing. It's just this weird, oh, they are a crazy karate cult. And so when I look at that one little scene, it's it's the same thing as when Chosen and Johnny walk out and Kim Dayoon is there with the Fist. It's this is a crazy world. You can have fun with it, and we take it seriously. The movie took it seriously, but you had those little moments of what the hell's going on here? And so if you can find those, I think that'll be fun.
Definitely. Thank you guys for the ideas. Good stuff will come out, I promise. So, as you guys know, Sony just announced a brand new Karate Kid film coming out in 2024. And John, I know you said that you guys aren't involved in it, but was there any discussion with you guys about making this film or doing something with it? Do you know anything about it?
We know a little bit about it. We're not at liberty to sort of talk about it in a major way. There's the TV division, which is who we've been working with primarily, and then there's the feature division of Sony. And there's different people in charge of the different divisions, and Karate Kid has been a very successful piece of IP for them for a long time, and is more successful than ever as a result of the Cobra Kai series. I think something happened internally where there was an idea that they got excited about. We did, have conversations with them, not about us, going and taking it over or taking it on, but, they made us aware of sort of some things that they were thinking about. It doesn't in any way impact what we're doing on the TV series. It's its own thing. We wish it well. We have our own aspirations of eventually doing, some feature films in the Miyagi verse. And anything that's happening with this film would have no impact on anything else that we're going to do in our world. But at the end of the day, we don't own the Miyagi verse. We don't control the IP in every single way. We have certainly a lot of influence over it, and there's a lot of trust in us in it. But if the studio wants to make something that is their own sort of business venture that they're excited about, then we wish them well.
I'll say when we first got the rights to this world and these characters, we knew we had to convince the people at Sony to allow us to do that. And there still were those divisions at the time. And I think at that time, there was talk of doing a sequel to the Jaden Smith movie, but it kind of had died out. And we were just saying at the time, hey, you know what? Look at shows like Gotham and then you know, what Nolan is doing. Like, you can have within the same, you know, you can have characters in the same universe, but like different versions of it, like in movies and TV, and audiences can understand that. So we don't know exactly what's going on with that, but from the very beginning, I think we felt like, you know, this is what we want to do over here, and we knew that like there was the possibility that, you know, the features division could continue, you know, the, you know, other stories.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were curious about that whole thing, so thank you for clearing that up. So in Cobra Kai season 2, episode 2, Daniel's trying to, you know, teach Sam and Robby about Miyagi-Do, but he doesn't know how to do it. And then he has that moment where he sees the tire wheel spinning and he's like, boom, I got it. So I'm curious, like, when writing and creating the show, like, were you guys ever like stuck on something, and then like maybe he was like some sort of Miyagi moment where like you weren't trying to find the answer, but the answer just came to you, and like you had your own Miyagi kind of spiritual realization with making the show?
You know, we have writers' room moments where we're definitely stuck. You know, we intentionally try to write ourselves into a corner as much as possible because it helps, you know, us not allow the audience to get ahead of us, you know, when possible. You know, we always try to get to places faster than the audience is expecting, so they're not thinking 3 episodes ahead, and that enables us to hopefully have surprises as we, you know, get down, you know, the track, you know, toward the end of these seasons. That one in particular was one that we turned to one of our Miyagis, Robert Mark Kamen, and, you know, asked him a little bit about, you know, hey, we're doing this thing where Daniel is going to have, you know, these students for the first time, and, you know, we're trying to dig into some tricks of the trade in terms of what to do with those initial lessons. And we talked to him extensively about, you know, Goju-Ryu karate, and you know, that he practiced, that he wrote into what is the basis for Miyagi-Do. And we talked a lot about this moving in a circle kind of style that, you know, we were aware of but weren't really focusing on as the main tenet. And something clicked for us in that moment, and we said, oh, circle, you know, what does Daniel sell? Cars. Oh, they have circle things on the car. So we kind of had our own little Miyagi moment that we wrote into the show in that moment to see Daniel have the same kind of inspiration for that balance board dance that that we had when we had that discussion.
Those moments happen all the time, though. It's, you know, you're in the writer's room, you hit a wall, and you leave the end of the day, and you're like this is a tough day. And we always talk about sort of like the ebbs and flows of a writer's room. There's the times where it just, everything is just coming together real quickly and you're feeling great. And then there's the times where you hit the wall and you're sort of like laboring over an episode, but it's usually like you're laboring for a couple days, and then you know, end your day, and you could be driving in the next morning, or you could be in the shower, or you could be, you know, hanging out and watching baseball at night or something like that. And then randomly your thoughts starts unlocking because you're not putting the pressure on yourself to think too much about it. And we always find a way. You know, at this point, we've done 50 episodes of Cobra Kai. And when we think about that, it's a staggering number of stories that we've told. And it's always a process. It's always, you know, it just has to flow naturally. And sometimes it comes super easy. And oftentimes you're against a roadblock and have to find your way through.
I mean, that same episode, I remember pitching the cement truck. I was like, he's gonna throw some kids into the cement truck, and I think it was because, you know, I'd seen a cement truck that morning or something, and, you know, and we were like, well, how's that gonna work exactly? And none of us had ever seen the inside of a cement truck, and if you see one, there's all sorts of horrible things in there that would just tear you to shreds. You should go in a cement truck, but there was a moment of like, okay, that was the same, you know, writer's room conversation in terms of, okay, what are some of these initial, you know, Johnny lessons that are upping the ante, you know, into a season 2, that are saying, okay, he's really going out of his way, especially with Kreese there, to kind of prove that he is the, you know, the alpha of this place. So yeah, we try to, it's something like John said, sometimes those moments where you get stuck are tough, and sometimes they are illuminating, where, you know, it shines a light on, okay, we're digging into this nitty gritty, but what if we fast forward to this moment where we're trying to get to, and maybe that will give us the answer.
Yeah, maybe I'll recreate the cement truck scene.
That's a bad idea.
I'm kidding.
Bad idea.
So I want to know, like, when you guys are writing and directing like fight scenes, because episode 10 is like a lot of fighting. So like, how do you write and direct those? Because obviously there's like story things implemented into it, but then there's also like action. So how do you like collaborate with the stunt team and kind of tell the story, but also have good fights?
It actually has changed over time, and now what we do is we'll write the script, but before, you know, the fight choreographer works on the scene, we'll like we'll almost like we'll create a separate document that tells you the story of the scene. Like, and it's usually about like who's up, who's down, and then like what's the twist, and then how does it resolve. So it could be, you know, I remember with like in season 4 at Stingrays, it's like, okay, at first, you know, it's a different variation of the school fight. You know, it starts with, you know, Sam and Tori, and then, you know, Miguel runs in, and then, or was it Robby first, and then Miguel runs in, or whatever what happened there. I think it was
Robby like sees.
I think it's Miguel first, right? Yeah, it's Miguel first. And then because we want to have a moment where like Miguel and Tori end up falling on the ground, and it's like, okay, now suddenly you have like a Miguel and Tori kind of looking at each other, but then Robby comes in, and you want a Robby Sam moment, you know? So you want a Miguel Tori moment, you want a Robby Sam moment, then you want like Tori and Robby to end up together with Miguel and Sam, and it's a couples fight. You know? So you're creating. You're making sure. I mean, it's usually there in the script, but you want to just kind of create your own separate, if you wrote a paragraph of how the fight goes in your mind in terms of just the story of it. Forget about like, you know, what happens, whether it's a punch or a kick, but like if you were to say like a football game, you know, what happens over the course of 4 quarters, who started up top, and, you know, what happened and what happens at the end, and what's like the key pivotal moments. And, you know, you send that to the fight choreographers. And because what we learned early on is that fight choreographers embellish a lot, like probably more often than not. Like we'll look at, like, when we see a fight scene, we'll be like, okay, that's too much. Like that's not, or like things get lost in the fighting, and you're just like, all right, we gotta either cut this down or do this and just get to, these are the points that we care about. Like, you know, the fighting is awesome and it's amazing, it's why, you know, the show is a success, but it's the characters first and foremost that makes the fight so great. And so I think that there's like plenty of fight, you know, scenes out there that can rival or best Cobra Kai in terms of like their execution. But if you don't care about the characters, you don't even know about them, you know, like you never know they exist. And so really having a good story to a fight can make a fight amazing, regardless of how it's executed.
Yeah. And final question for you guys. I don't know if you could talk about this, but I know you guys, like, there hasn't been an official announcement how many more seasons of Cobra Kai we're going to get. But like when it is locked and there is like okay, this is what we're going to do, this is how many seasons, like, do you guys will fans know in advance, like, this is going to be the last season or 2 seasons before? I don't know if you could talk about this, but
I think that when it's winding down and we're going to do a final season, I think the fans will know that. I would be surprised if it's just sort of like, hey, the season happened and okay, that was it after the fact. I think everybody will know beforehand. We're loving making this show. We're loving working in the Miyagi verse. You know, there's more Cobra Kai story to tell, and there's more beyond that. So, you know, you'll just have to wait and see for announcements on the future of the show. And when a season 6 announcement, we could say, I mean, it's no secret that we've been thinking about a season 6. It's no secret that, you know, we want to tell more of the story. You know, there's things are happening, but, you know, it's you know, all at a certain pace, and it's not as simple as just saying, hey, we're making this. You need to say, okay, you're making this. When are you making this? You know, where are you making this? What are the specifics that you're doing? What are your needs? What's the budget? Like all that kind of stuff. There's all that kind of stuff that ends up needing to happen before, like, you know, firm announcements are made about anything. But you know, rest
it's
assured,
not like the day before the announcement, it's still up in the air. You know,
this is an event series. So, you know, when we reach the final season of this show, that will be an event, and that will be a moment to lean into and celebrate with the fandom. So we'll have to see when we get there.
Please don't end it.
But nothing ever ends, though, does it? I mean, this universe that we're building is, you know, is so rich, and you know, we intend to stay in that universe, you know, for a long time, you know, regardless of when the, you know, Cobra Kai of it all comes in for a landing, because all things must land at some point.
Well, and the other thing is, like, when you think about Cobra Kai, it itself is kind of a spinoff when you think about it, you know. So, you know, I think for us, you know, just its existence proves that you can, you know, that things can kind of lay down for a little bit and then like come back, and also that you can come back into the franchise through different perspectives and different things. And so, you know, again, like, we've made no secret that we want to do that, and that so we're like you, like, that we don't want it to end, but like there's a way, I think, to make it where, you know, you can have you know, you can deliver on like kind of the end of a story, and yet, you know, okay, so it's the end of the Iliad, and now you have the Odyssey, and then you know, you continue characters in different ways.
What I can say is that that when Cobra Kai does eventually end, I don't think people will have to wait 35 years for more to dip back into the Miyagi verse. So hopefully it'll be slightly sooner.
Just a little sooner.
Just a little bit sooner.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for Cobra Kai, for spinoffs, and even Obliterated, Ferris Bueller. Like, I'm excited for everything that you guys are doing. So, and I think everyone else is too. We're going to be looking out for that. I want to thank you guys so much for doing this. I know we've been trying to do this for a little bit. I really appreciate the fact that I know you guys are super busy. So, like, this really means a lot. And I just want to thank you guys and wish you luck with all your projects, and hope to talk to you soon.
Thanks, Drew. Thanks so for being, you know, out there and being such a champion of this show, this universe. You know, you speak for a large portion of this fandom that is so diehard into this, and it keeps us going.
Thanks, Josh.
Yes, and I loved your reaction to Mitch becoming.
I sent Hayden all my reactions.
Mitch was in the right.
Yeah, the moment he sent me a few reactions. The best one I sent it to John was your penis breath betrayal. Because that was one, you know, going back to what John was saying before, it's like you care about every character. And that was something in the writer's room that I remember us feeling like we have Mitch and let's let him be the Judas of this whole thing. And, and your reaction was exactly what I think we wanted.
Mitch has been bullied in plain sight.
No!
Yeah, Mitch is a victim.
Mitch has been bullied in plain sight for a while now, like in front of everybody, like routinely bullied by lots of people, and he has to just sit there and take it.
Well, he never wanted to leave Cobra Kai. He was thrown out of Cobra Kai. Like, he wasn't like, you know, like Chris walked. But like Mitch was thrown out because Kreese got rid of him. So, you know, if he was probably silently always looking for a way back, and he found one.
Now there is no Cobra Kai.
At the best time too.
There's no more Cobra Kai, so he literally betrayed them for no reason.
Well, he didn't know it was going to go south, so, you know. So
Mitch doesn't have very good luck thus far in terms of his choices, but who knows? This may be just one step in Mitch's long game.
Yeah, maybe he'll win the Sekai Taikai.
Exactly.
I think it's possible.
We'll see. Thank you guys so much for joining me. This is amazing. Listen, good luck with Obliterated and everything else. Really appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Soon.
Thanks. Talk soon.
Thank you guys. Take care. Bye. Awesome. Awesome. Woo!